Prepare to stand by to eject the core.
Prepare to eject the warp core. Authorization ECH Omega 42.
We've got to eject the core!
Ejection systems offline.
Warp ejection system enabled. Eject the core.
Eject the core. Eject the warp core.
Computer, eject the warp core.
I just did.
Eject the core!
I'm fucking on it right now. Oh wait, we gotta. Okay, so you're gonna have to bleep that because I've decided that we should try to be able to have this monetized, right?
You can say swear words and have it monetized.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that lesson things or what. So I was gonna try to police myself really really hard this episode. I'm not very good at it. Like
Some people like nobody really quite knows the algorithm, but like there's there's definitely like the is it made for kids, is it not made for kids, and like if you have a bunch of cursing it's made for kids you can get in trouble. But monetization, I mean they monetize all sorts of crazy shit. I mean, my buddy Justin Wang makes videos about people putting jars up their asses.
I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff. I just didn't like. I have no idea how the algorithm works. For
Sure.
all of you people, all of you like 50 people that'll watch this over the next 6 months, which like 25 will be people that I give the link to.
Yeah.
I'm not. This gentleman to my right is the YouTube guru. I'm like no social media, internet presence at all. I'm like
It's true.
I have nothing to do with it.
It's true.
So, but I know a marginal amount about Star Trek. So
Yeah. Well, we're back. We were on an away mission.
we had an extended away mission to that nebula over there,
Yeah, the Tanat.
the Tanat Nebula.
Yeah, and we got sucked into a temporal vortex. For us, it's only been 2 weeks. I haven't even bothered to look at a calendar. So
Time dilation. I mean,
Time dilation.
it's weird. It's weird how it works. We were close to the black hole. You guys have all seen Interstellar, I'm sure. So
Sure.
you all know how it works. You know, nerd shit, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like every show has to have multiple time traveling episodes, and like I guess this is ours. You know,
Exactly. We're gonna. So eventually, the hope is that we'll be able to bring you the footage. You know, you'll think it's a skit, but it won't be a skit. It'll be the actual footage of our away missions.
Oh
So
yeah.
Look for that
Absolutely.
in the next couple years or whatever.
I'm so tempted to like put the footage of you driving the ATV and me riding on the back shooting a rifle.
Oh my god.
As that was our away mission.
I mean, that was a pretty dope away mission. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was pretty
So-
good. Yeah, that was dope.
So yeah, welcome back to Eject the Core, everybody. I'm Matt. This is Jeff.
Hey.
Today we're going to be talking about what's good about Star Trek Old and New. And new. Because I realized in the beginning we said that we didn't really want to shit all over the new Star Trek. And yet we both kind of have a tendency, just because it's really easy to do. I'm not going to lie.
It is
Like,
really easy to do.
They don't make it hard.
Yeah, that's very true.
So today we're going to go back. We're going to be a little bit reflective and talk about the things that we like about. Well, Jeff is mainly going to be he's the old Trek master guru, and then I've thought about some things that I like about the new Star Trek that we'll talk about
Sure.
later on.
Absolutely. We'll talk about like we're gonna try and focus mostly on strengths, but I think in some ways that's gonna also kind of reveal weaknesses of others. So when we started talking more about doing this show, I took it upon myself to watch all of the original series, and I mean all of them.
Which I to this day have not been able to bring myself to do. I've tried multiple times.
Oh,
I've tried.
man.
I just like and so what I've realized about in doing this podcast is that it's not just the old Trek
Yeah.
that can be a chore to get through. It can be a chore to get through any Star Trek series, and even
It
the
can.
good ones, because you start to absorb so much of it that you're just like, oh my god. And there are a lot of not necessarily filler episodes, but there are a lot of standalone episodes that don't necessarily connect to the lore as a whole.
They don't really advance a plot.
Exactly, and it can be a chore to watch those over and over and over. And I think that as far as the original series goes, that's pretty much all there is.
Yeah. The original series is a lot more episodic, I guess is probably the right word. It's not as serialized.
Right, exactly. Yeah, serialized. They started a little bit with the Next Generation.
Sure.
Continued like the Discovery, or not Discovery. Deep Space Nine went there a lot
Right.
more.
Oh, yeah,
I think that
yeah.
Voyager went there a little bit, but maybe not as much as Deep Space Nine in the end.
Not as much, and I think a lot of that is because the fan reception at the time to DS9 was so poor.
Sure, and that's why they were like, we got to get them back on the bridge of a ship.
Right, and it needs to be
And here we are.
more episodic,
Here,
less serialized.
this beautiful I can't even remember what class ship this is. I'm out of it. I used to know at one point. I'm sorry, Sovereign. No, that's the Enterprise E.
I'm gonna just judge you silently.
I want to say Nova class, but that's not right either.
Nah, it's
Whatever, man. Intrepid class. It's an
Yeah,
Intrepid
it's
class.
an Intrepid class.
See,
yeah.
I knew it. I just had to think about it for a minute. So.
Yep. The Intrepid class, because for those who aren't seeing the video necessarily, we're green screened into the. I mean, we built the
Practical set.
we built
Ignore
the
this
set.
right here. This is you see this is residual time dilation from our ROA mission. So.
That's right. That's not an artifact from a green screen. That's just
Absolutely not.
time ripples.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that comes down to where TV was at the time. Most TV back in the 60s was episodic. There wasn't really a whole lot of serialized stuff. In fact, some of the more notable serialized TV shows that kind of revolutionized TV to begin with was like the original The Prisoner. Or not The Prisoner, The Fugitive. The Fugitive.
Oh yeah.
Because The Fugitive was very unique and groundbreaking because of how serialized it was. I'm not really sure culturally what drove everything to be episodic.
Was
but-
that based on the Harrison Ford movie?
Yes, actually it was. Somebody saw that and then went back in time. And they're like, I got a great idea for a TV show. So, like I said, it's a time travel episode. So original Trek is very episodic. There's not necessarily a whole lot that connects to it. There's a couple of like references here and there. Mostly some of the fun, and it's an unintentional good, is spotting props in later episodes that were reused from the episodes prior. Like there's an episode. It's actually a pretty good episode, and I'm blanking on the name, where they find this a sentient robot basically, and
Was his name Data?
no. It looks like a weird probe thing. And it's a fascinating episode. It's a really cool concept. It's actually the basis for Star Trek the Motion Picture, because in Star Trek the Motion Picture, V'ger collides and meshes with another alien entity, and then it just starts growing on itself. This happens on a much smaller scale. Intricate prop, sort of, for the 60s. And then as you're watching further and further, like they'll just be like, and there's this alien device, and I'm like, hey, that's like the fucking antenna from that fucking thing. That's crazy. Or, hey, that's a Horta egg, or like whatever. That's a lot of fun. That's unintentional. But the real beauty of the original series is, especially going back and watching it now, because I didn't like it as a kid. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was boring. The beauty of it now is in the writing. I do
Something we're definitely going to talk some more about as we go down the road in this episode. Let me tell you.
Yes. I wouldn't even say necessarily the Next Generation writing is that great. It's okay. I mean, some of it's good.
And honestly, like you can look at it with rose-colored glasses, but in my slog of watching, and I'm like maybe halfway through season 4, because like you've got to take breaks. It's not every episode is great. Not every episode is well written, but the episodes that are really well written are fantastically written.
Oh yeah,
And
Measure of
that's-
Man is excellent.
That one, The Best of Both Worlds.
Yep.
The Royale is one of my favorite.
Oh,
episodes.
dude, the Royale is one of my favorite episodes.
We've
of Star
talked
Trek
about
ever.
all
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
so we won't go back into all that. But
Right. But like as a comparison, so Next Generation doesn't necessarily have like the strongest writing. DS9 has amazing writing, and that's largely due to like Ronald Moore and a bunch of other people that were involved in it. Voyager's he's Voyager. But in the original
There's a
series,
handful of good episodes in there.
yeah. But in the original series, I mean, you'll have something like Gangster Planet.
Right.
Like they beam down and it's a planet full of gangsters, and they model their whole society off of like a book about gangsters, and it's over the top and it's ridiculous, but it is incredibly well written and actually a lot of fun. The Corbamite Maneuver, groundbreaking episode. You know, that's the one with they're trapped by this like huge crazy spaceship, and nothing they can do can like really break free. And they're going to use the Corbamite Maneuver or the Corbamite weapon or some shit like that. And it turns out that it's actually a tiny little ship that's projecting a huge hologram. And inside is like a 7 or 8 year old Ron Howard.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And he was just like kind of fucking with them a little bit. And that's where the whole like...
That sounds a lot like the episode where Riker gets abducted and he thinks that he's being interrogated by Romulans.
Oh, yeah. And then he's like super old.
Yeah. And it's his son, and the only way that he figures it out is his wife ended up being the chick from the holodeck, and he's like, wait a second, this isn't real.
Do you remember what her name was? Bonus points for this one.
No, it starts with an M.
It does.
Because they called her Min in the episode.
Menstrual. No.
Menstrual cycle. No.
But it's
no.
close.
I can't.
Minuet.
Minuet. Okay,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to.
I only recently ended up watching that episode on total accident, and that's why that's the only reason I know.
The little dudes are weird, the little binary dudes, but
Binars, yeah, those dudes are awesome. But yeah, and that's where the awesome line of "Come sit, have some Tranya," and he's like, he's trying to get people drunk. It's great. It's super awesome. Little tiny weird Ron Howard with a weird overdub voice. So that's the writing is charming. The sets are terrible. The remasters, I thought I was gonna hate the remasters because like they redo like actual CGI for some of the space stuff. It actually really helped. Like a lot, because I to kind of get an idea, I went and watched the OG graphics, and it was actually kind of painful. So it does kind of translate a little bit. So I do recommend if people do watch the original Trek, they watch the remasters with like the new animations. It's a lot less distracting.
Got it.
Yeah.
And they can find that on Paramount Plus. Is that right?
I don't know. I think.
Where's our sponsorship, Paramount Plus?
Yeah. I think Netflix had the remasters and Prime had the originals.
Okay.
I think that's how.
Because we've talked about how Star Trek is on like every single streaming platform. It's ridiculous.
That's true. On almost every single one, which is bizarre.
So they released the just within the last few days, they released the intro to Star Trek Prodigy.
Okay, yeah.
Which is something that I don't think we've talked about on this show. If you're not aware, Star Trek Prodigy is an upcoming Star Trek project that is going to be airing on Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus. It follows a group of kids who in the Delta Quadrant who have come across a experimental class ship.
Yeah, something like that. They got lost and crashed or something.
Right, and it's going to have Kate Mulgrew as a hologram of Janeway. So it's. So here's my thing on it. I have mixed feelings. I think that it could be good.
Mm-hmm.
However, anything that I have given the benefit of the doubt since Kurtzman has come in charge, I have been sorely wrong about.
Burn me 4 times, shame on you.
Shame on somebody at this point. I'm not sure who, but shame on somebody.
Yeah, So one of the things that makes me hopeful, at least for Prodigy, is that it is making Star Trek accessible to like a younger generation that might be kind of interested. And if it captures kind of the more exploratory spirit of it, then I don't know if I'll like it. You know, I mean, because like like I love the original Trek, and then I started trying to watch the animated series. Because they try to make
wait. The animated series, the original animated series, or like the newest animated series?
No. The original animated series.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be making it more accessible to kids. And
it doesn't seem to make it accessible to kids to me at all. Like I think that's a show that I've tried watching one time and was like, what the fuck is this?
yeah,
Heck, I said heck. What the heck is this?
high concept. I'll give it this: high concept ideas. But wow, woof, whoa.
I mean, the motion picture was a high concept idea too, and it's pretty clear how that ended.
Yeah,
It's everybody's favorite Star Trek movie.
I still love it.
Oh, it's good if you're on mushrooms or acid. Absolutely,
Yeah.
It's definitely something to watch while you're tripping.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we don't condone the use of psychological
no,
things
of course
here.
not.
Whatever. I don't even know what that is.
I mean, come on. Picard has a drug addict in it. We can
Yeah,
talk about
that,
these.
That old ragweed.
That old ragweed. That's right. Swilling a Romulan ale and toking on her ragweed.
See, I have a theory that like that actress was like so entrenched in weed culture that like they couldn't get her fucking vaporizer, her fucking dab pen or whatever it is out of her hand, and they're like, let's just write it into the story. It's no big deal. She's all like, yeah, let me contact this admiral.
I have a different theory. I think that they were looking at each individual character and they were making character sheets for everybody in Picard. And they had like unallocated points for personality, and they're looking through like the rule book, That guy, I really think it was like a bunch of role-playing nerds that kind of came up with these characters because they're so cliche.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense.
And they were like, what else is a good personality for somebody who's on the down and out? What will people connect with? What do people who are just wanting to escape into science fiction, what do they really identify with? Drug abuse. That's what it is. Addiction. Oh, this is genius. No, it's great.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to take a moment to talk about our sponsor. This week's episode is brought to you by Raffi's Ragweed.
Raffi's Ragweed.
The best ragweed in the sector.
That's right. That's
And
right.
I was legally, contractually obligated to do this, so here we go. I have only done ragweed once when I was at the academy.
He didn't inhale.
I did not inhale, but for the sake of our sponsorship, I said I would take one for the team. So
Right.
Raffi's Ragweed, everyone.
Here we go. Here we go. I'm not noticing any discernible color changes in your skin. Are you experiencing time dilation?
I think I am.
Are you freaking out, man?
I can feel the time flowing through me.
So
Okay.
the
The good news is it only lasts for like 15 or 20 seconds. So
that's good. That's good. What the fuck is in that? Like space DMT? Oh yeah, that door slammed shut. I might get secondary contact high from the Raffi's wacky.
Raffi's Ragweed, the best ragweed in the sector. Remember
Okay.
that.
No.
When you're looking for your ragweed, when you have an addiction that you need to fix. Okay. Anyway,
This is going swimmingly.
when you have you know what, when your children won't talk to you anymore, you can find solace in Raffi's Ragweed.
Available at any fine Ferengi merchant.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I think that's probably my favorite strong part of the OG series. There's other like aspects that are kind of secondarily charming about it, and the characters are iconic. I mean, there's no denying that. There's a reason why Star Trek became the cult phenomenon that it was, and it's part of the world and it's part the adventure. But I'd say the largest part is probably the characters, and there's nothing more iconic than Kirk and Spock and McCoy and Scotty.
Well, absolutely. I mean, people still talk about and when they talk about like these characters, they obviously like a new generation of people will reference the ones from the Kelvin timeline, but they're still talking about like, excuse me, that Raffi's ragweed has, I guess, some side effects. They're talking about the original characters. They're talking about the ones from the '60s who were on television and then they were in the movies in the '80s and stuff. That stays in the cultural zeitgeist, like that sticks.
Sure. Even so much so that when they tried to reinvent it, they went right back to those characters with the J.J. Abrams stuff. Like,
and we're talking about like something that's super iconic and nowadays inclusion and things like that are super important. I mean, back in the day, Star Trek was one of the first shows on television to have an interracial kiss.
True.
And it was no big deal, like, on set. It was no
Sure.
big deal to the people, but it was a big deal as far as, like, culture goes. And
Sure.
to the point where Martin Luther King Jr. called Nichelle Nichols when she was considering not going back for either the second or third season. And, like, he talked her into going back. Like, that is of huge cultural significance.
Absolutely.
Something that nobody can take away. And in my opinion, I think that, like, that has a lot to do with why the fans demand that this franchise be treated with respect.
Right. There's a reverence there. There
Absolutely.
really is.
And I want to talk a little bit about long-standing franchises and legacy franchises and what's kind of happened in the current age that we live in.
Sure.
The AI bots of 3,000 may be watching this, so I don't know when you're going to see this. It goes on the internet. It lives forever. Whatever. It was recorded in 2021. Nowadays, you see, in my opinion, in my most humble of opinions, and obviously I can be wrong. Who am I? What do I know? But what I see is any intellectual property that has any kind of built-in fan base is being shilled out for capital gains. And it's not, in some ways, like, some good content comes out of it. Like I said, we're going to talk about good things here, but a lot of times what I see is
It's a bit soulless.
I was going to try to say, like, creatively bankrupt.
Yeah. That's a much better way to say it. Yeah. Very creatively bankrupt. I mean,
And that's probably, well, I don't want to segue yet. What I want to do is I want to talk about, like, so a lot of people have issues with Star Wars. We're not going to go a whole lot into that other than to say that, like, when they were bought by a big corporation, obviously a lot of changes were made and a lot of people saw a lot of changes. There are a lot of people who hate on Doctor Who.
yeah, that one's kind of weird.
So I haven't seen, I don't watch Doctor Who. I've seen enough YouTube creators and I've seen enough stuff about it to see, you know, how angry people are about it and why they feel betrayed by it. So,
Sure.
you know what? You're completely entitled to your feelings. Again, there's people there who think, you know, like, it's
I
a
think
cash
it's great,
grab,
or some people think it's a cash grab. Yeah.
Exactly. So what would be nice to see is now I guess I can segue into what I like about the new Star Trek. From the beginning of Discovery, from Discovery Season 1, Episode 1, the visuals have been very stunning, have been very striking, with some misses.
Lens flares.
Well, lens flares, absolutely.
There's too many,
yeah, well, that's again from the Abrams verse. They wanted to, like, create, I guess, a visual style that was similar. I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
But ship design, fantastic. Set design, awesome. I really like the bridge of the ships. I like the way that the outside of the ships look. I like the character designs on a lot of the new characters, even Andorian stuff like that. Obviously, it was a huge miss with the Klingons in season 1.
Yes.
They tried to backtrack it on season 2. Now, I'm going to say that, like, there is a turning point in the new Star Trek where my feeling of, like, ship design completely falls off, and it's at the very end of season 2. Season 1, you get Discovery. You see the Discovery. There's even a Constitution class ship, I believe, that isn't. It's no. That's the Discovery from another. I'm thinking of Enterprise. Never mind. Oops. But they're all that you see in Discovery is the ship outline on the computer, and they talk about how another ship had come into the mirror universe. They do reference that episode of Enterprise.
Oh, okay.
So they do. There are some things about Discovery that tie into it, and that's really cool. I like that.
That is nice.
That they're not ignoring Enterprise.
Somebody needs to throw Enterprise a goddamn bone. It wasn't that bad of a show. I kind of liked it.
Hey man, that series finale will live on in infamy as like the best series finale of any show ever.
That was the
Yeah,
biggest.
did you see
It's the
how
biggest
did you
insult
see how
ever.
well that they de-aged Riker? That was fantastic.
They didn't. For those who aren't aware, we're not really ruining anything for you because honestly, like
Spoiler alert.
it's really not a spoiler at all. I do encourage you if you are interested in doing like the completeness of Star Trek, do watch Enterprise. It actually gets pretty damn good in season 2, and then it's actually pretty great.
Season 3 and 4 are good as well. Like
Yeah.
it honestly,
I really like them.
It suffers from the same trope that a lot of Star Trek has, where the first season or two, like typically they say the first 2 seasons. That's just for the next generation.
Yeah.
But the first season isn't great, but it takes off after that and it gets better. I would say that it's got more. I think it's got better episodes than Voyager on a whole.
If you're doing it by how many episodes they made and the ratio of the good ones, yeah, I would
Yes.
actually agree. Yeah, I would absolutely agree. And just the finale of the show was basically a massive slap in the face to the fans. And it involves they bring in Jonathan Frakes as Riker, and he watches the whole end
And
of it
Marina
on
Sirtis
like
is Deanna Troi.
Deanna Troi, and the whole thing is him watching it in the holodeck, and it's just garbage, and it was really fucking terrible.
Spoiler alert: Trip dies.
Oh, that is a fucking bad spoiler. That is a mean spoiler.
Dude, the show is like what, over 20 years old? I don't give a fuck. Whatever.
Nah, you're probably right, actually. I think it is over 20 years old. I think we can officially talk about
if
it.
you guys haven't seen the end of Enterprise, if I actually spoiled that for you and you're mad, like, you can find my social media and write me and tell me how much you hate me about it.
But you know, that's actually the thing though, is talking about things that we liked, just real fast, and then we'll get back to Discovery. When I was watching Enterprise, one of the reasons why I hated it and I stopped after like 3 episodes, I hated Trip. Couldn't fucking stand him. He was so obnoxious. I hated his accent. I hated his character.
I loved his accent. I was like, this is what we need. It was a fucking cowboy in space.
Yeah.
A fucking hick. That's what we need, is like some hillbilly that's like duct taping shit together. That's exactly what, because that's what you would have, honestly. I mean, look at Firefly. I mean, that's what they had in they just had a girl version of it. You know?
True. That's true. But he ended up being my favorite character.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was the best character, the best well-rounded.
So I think it's true for a lot of Star Trek, is that if the chief engineer is done well as a character, you're gonna like them.
Yeah.
Scotty, Trip, Geordi, B'Elanna.
No.
I
never liked
dude,
B'Elanna.
I thought B'Elanna was fucking awesome. I liked her a lot more than Tom Paris.
I mean, that's not hard. The only thing I liked about Tom Paris was the Captain Proton episodes. Those are great.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch those.
Those are awesome. Satan's robot. Yeah. They're honestly there's only one character in Voyager I like.
Janeway?
The Doctor.
The Doctor.
Yeah, that's it. Other than that, I mean, Janeway's all right. She's cool.
I gotta say, as far as characters go, yeah, I would say that the Doctor is the best. Tom Paris isn't a bad character. He's a decent character. He is, if anybody doesn't know, he's a port character from his character in the episode of The Next Generation, where he tries to talk Wesley Crusher into denying that they murdered somebody.
Nicholas Lazaro.
Right.
That's what that's Jesus. I can't believe I remember that.
Cadet First Class Nicholas Lazaro.
That's right. Of Red Squad. Yeah.
Oh
my God.
But so the whole story goes.
I can't remember my 12th birthday. You realize that?
I can't remember like my 21st birthday, so it's fine. Like birthdays, whatever. But yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, the creators of Discovery wanted that character, but they didn't want to have to pay the royalty rights.
Of Voyager. Yeah.
Yeah, the Voyager. They didn't want to have to pay the royalty rights to the writer of that episode of The Next Generation for every single episode of Voyager. So they're like, we're going to make him the exact same character personality-wise, but he's going to be different. He's going to be somebody different.
Yeah, he even has an admiral for a dad.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's the same character.
Same character.
So they just what happened is he had to change his identity after that happened to be able to stay in Starfleet. That's my
there
thought.
you go.
Yeah,
there you
so
go. There's some deep
to bring
lore.
him back. That's what it was. Is Janeway changed his identity when she went and got him from the penal colony.
Oh,
She's like, you're Tom Paris now.
So Janeway is like an eraser. Like, you remember the movie Eraser?
No. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I imagine it's somebody who erases identities or something
Arnold
like that.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, so.
You've been erased.
Okay, so trying to get back to topic here.
Yeah, sorry.
before this video
What
becomes
else do you like about New Trek?
Okay, so season 2, there's a dropping off point with the ships. Okay, season 1 of the Discovery looks really fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like the first time that you see it do that bridge spinny thing where it does its flippy kind of crap, like it's a little bit ridiculous about the whole thing. But like when the saucer section starts spinning, that's really cool. I was like, that's neat. That's not something I've seen in Star Trek before. Like I remember thinking when I saw that the nacelles of the Intrepid class ship, like what we're on right now.
Yes.
When I saw that those nacelles bent when it went into warp, I was like, that's a pretty cool design. There's some movement there. That's awesome. So I was kind of the same when I saw the movement of the saucer section, at least. And then it did its flippy thing. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit too much. Whatever. And then in season 2, they upped the ante and they brought in the Enterprise. And you know what? It didn't look bad. It looked to me like they were trying to make it a mix between the original series and the Kelvin timeline.
Sure.
Like they were trying to bridge the gap there.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
It really doesn't look that bad.
No, it's not a bad looking ship, and the design of it was really good. And then I can't remember if I think Picard came out first and then season 3 of Discovery. I can't remember which way it went.
That sounds right.
It doesn't matter because they both came out the same year, and that was the dropping off point. The ship, and I can't even remember what it's called in Picard because who the fuck cares?
Oh God. I don't know either.
Yeah, it's got some weird name. I remember.
I don't even know what it looks like.
It looks kind of like Shinzon's ship, but red and small and more square.
Oh.
Kind of where it's got like the wing things that come out.
Okay.
It's really stupid looking.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not okay. It's not stupid looking. I'm not hating on New Trek. I gotta be positive. Positive.
Right.
It's okay looking, whatever. But like the inside of it looks like being inside a warehouse. I mean, the bridge.
That's true.
It's cold. Nobody cares, and the whole thing is run by holograms too. So it's not like he even needs a crew.
Right. There's not a whole lot of like character development.
When you've got a ship that bears the name of the show that you're like Discovery, Voyager, Enterprise, whatever, typically the ship becomes a character as well.
Right.
It houses the characters that you're watching in the show. You as a viewer, you are meant to have an emotional attachment to the ship.
Yes.
That's why one of the only things about Lower Decks, which we'll talk a little bit about here at the end, one of the only things that I've ever laughed at Lower Decks is in the first season towards the end, they have an episode. It's actually, I think it's the episode before the finale, that is meant to be a movie on the holodeck.
Right.
And the one thing that I thought was hilarious was they made fun of the ship porn. They circled as the captain is boarding the ship, and she's got the ensign who's like everybody's a hologram, except for the ensign.
I do remember
they
that.
fly around the ship like 6 times to like drive the point home, Family Guy style. And I appreciated that because that is one thing about Star Trek. Every single, especially the movies, is the ship porn. And the purpose behind the ship porn is because the viewer is supposed to have an emotional attachment to the ship.
Right. Right.
There is absolutely none of that in Picard at all.
No.
At all.
No, there's not.
You don't care. Like as a viewer, I paid attention to that show. I can tell you some of the characters' names. God damn it! See, I was gonna say even the doctor, even the murder, even the murdering doctor, but now I can't remember the murdering doctor's name.
I've seen the whole season 1 3 times through now. There's Picard. There's Raffi.
There's Raffi.
Raffi's jungleweed.
Mm-hmm. Ragweed.
Ragweed.
Raffi's ragweed.
There's,
Doctor.
There's I'm giving up on her. I don't know.
There's Bruce Maddox. There's Bruce Maddox. I remember that.
He was there for like half an episode.
There's 7 of 9.
Yeah, there's 7 of 9. I don't even know what the captain's name is.
See, that's what I've been trying to think of too. Like Captain. I want to say it's like Syrah or something like that. But
And
that's
then
not right.
there's I really want to remember his name. Please choose to live. Eleanor.
Eleanor. So there's Elnor, Raffi, JL. Because it's not Picard, it's JL.
Oh my God.
He's not Picard in that show. There's been some weird multiverse shit, which obviously you've all seen the trailer for season 2. You know that it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But we're watching JL.
We're watching JL.
We're watching JL.
Yeah. So that's the 3 that I can remember is Eleanor, JL, and Raffi. I don't remember the other
I
ones.
can remember the actress's name, but I cannot remember her character's name.
I mean, yeah.
It doesn't matter. She's a murdering piece of garbage.
Which is funny because like my favorite character of that crew is the captain, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah, no, he was the most standout and charismatic character on the show.
Yeah. I think that's a plus for
yeah.
Picard. He's a
Yes,
good character.
Absolutely. He is a great character. Unfortunately, every other character on that show is like a charisma vacuum. Just fucking sucks it all out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the set design on
Discovery.
On Discovery is good. So what happens in season 3 is they
Just haven't watched yet.
they go to the future. Time dilation.
Time travel. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a thing in Star Trek. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they go to the future and there's new ships. And the Discovery gets an upgrade, and the upgrade, oh man, it makes it look like a CGI piece of garbage. Did you know that ships don't need their warp nacelles attached to the hull now?
Yep. You told me.
Yeah.
They're just attached by like energy or something.
Magnets, probably.
Yeah.
Magnets. It's always magnets. Didn't you know that? Like,
I don't even know how they work.
it's how we get free energy, Jeff. Come on.
Yeah.
The warp core is powered by magnets.
That's right. 2 big magnets.
It's the neodymium ones. If you just wrap some coils around them, that makes them even more powerful. I watched them float pennies. It's
amazing. It's amazing.
It's science.
So that kind of chews up the whole design of that ship, huh?
Yeah. At that point, and they've got the Voyager J. The Voyager J.
The Voyager J? What does that mean?
J. So do you know how like there was the Enterprise A and the Enterprise B and the Enterprise C? So apparently there have been enough Voyagers now that they're at J.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's you see it for a split second, and it's stupid looking. It's the same shape, kind of, as this lovely ship that we have built. So not only is this bridge a practical set, but we actually, in Jeff's backyard, we built a practical set of the entire Intrepid class starship. His neighbors were like, "What the fuck are you doing? This is intruding into our yards." And we're like, "Look, it's in the air. We've got it raised up. The only spot that it's touching the ground is in Jeff's backyard, so it's fine. Don't worry about it."
Fucking knock it off. Chill.
We actually we're thinking we're crowdsourcing funding so that we can find a place to put it. We're gonna put it on a piece of land, and then we're gonna build the other ships too. And you guys can all give us money, and we'll show you pictures of them.
That sounds fantastic.
You can't come and see them. Sorry.
No.
But yeah, no. So,
but they're real. Trust us.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they've got the Voyager J, which is basically the same shape as this, but it's all just like smooth and stupid looking with detached nacelles.
Yeah.
That probably move when it goes to warp.
Why would they detach the nacelles?
There's no science behind the show anymore. That's what I'm. Okay. The set design is great. It's fantastic. The visuals in all of the shows have been fantastic, even in Picard. Besides the ships, I'm really, really, really upset about the finale of Picard. Not because of the AI monster snakes that come out of a portal that have never been mentioned in Star Trek before, because everybody remembers those. No, there's a huge battle scene, potential battle scene at the very end of Picard, where Riker comes up because it turns out that like he's in the like Starfleet reserves, like he's like Army National Guard now.
Yeah.
But he's wearing one of the new uniforms, which, it's cool. It's awesome to see Jonathan Frakes on the bridge of a ship. And then they cut to space, and it's literally a copy paste of the same ship like 500 times.
Yeah, there's nothing new about ship
Not
design. They're just
one different ship.
They're all cookie
So
cutters.
yeah, so Starfleet apparently built this armada of the same starship, to go fight all of their battles, to just show up whenever they're needed.
And that does us a huge disservice because like that was something that was pretty amazing, especially in the next gen era. One thing I loved about the next gen era, and when we're talking about ship porn, and how the ship becomes a character, next gen defined that. I mean, constant panning shots of the ship, and the ship has a distinct hum and everything. It's alive. But when it would come up to other Starfleet ships, they're of different eras. Some are older. This is a new prototype one.
The
nacelle
Stargazer.
configuration. Yeah, Stargazer is totally different.
I mean, that ship came from. That's the same class as the. What is the ship that Khan takes over? The Reliant.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the same class ship, right?
Yep.
I mean, so you're literally like you have Starfleet seems realistic up until this point because they keep their ships like any navy, any military, whatever. They use their resources up until they can't use them anymore.
Right.
And when they build something new, it's not like they can build, 500 of the same ship all at one time. They
Right.
bring in a new class, and they're slowly introduced as they build one over another, over another, over another.
Right.
This looks like it was like
It's intellectually it's creatively bankrupt.
Yes.
It's totally bankrupt.
the writing needs to get better. That is my biggest concern with Star Trek these days, is that the writing is and to be fair, I have talked to people even recently, and if anybody's watching this and they're like, oh, we had a conversation, whatever, yeah, like I'm probably referencing you. I don't know. I've had this conversation with a lot of people, but there are people out there who are like, you know what? I love the new Star Trek. It's gotten me through the pandemic.
Sure.
I have legitimate things that I like about it, this, that, and the other. That's great. That is fantastic. I'm glad that it's pulling new people in. I'm glad that it's keeping people who may have not been as into Star Trek as they were now.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, I like this, but it's some old show that I can't really relate to or whatever. And now they're watching the new Trek. But the writing quality, the number of good episodes, the number of episodes that have any kind of thought or meaning behind them seem to be fewer and fewer and fewer. And
Right.
that's a big concern for me.
There's actually been a couple of episodes of Discovery that we watched, especially in season 2, where I enjoyed them. I mean, I had my criticisms of them, but like I enjoyed them, and overall, I usually don't like these shows too terribly much. I love Picard, but for the wrong reasons. But here's one of my biggest complaints about it, but it's also a plus. So I'm speaking good for New Trek, but it's also a negative. I am totally fine with them reinventing Star Trek into stuff like Discovery. I'm fine with it because if it brings more people into Trek and that's the kind of thing that they want to watch, I'm totally okay with it. My problem is, right now there really doesn't seem to be anything for me that I like. Maybe it'll be Prodigy. Maybe it'll be the one with Pike, Brave New Worlds.
Brave New Worlds, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it'll be that one because it's poised to be more of like an adventure and exploration one, and I probably like that better.
You're a big fan of Michelle Yeoh. Maybe it'll be Section 31.
Probably not. But so far it's probably going to be the same thing with like Discovery and with Picard. It's we're making Star Trek smoother, sexier, and more fast-paced and adventurous and violence. And, there's no real depth to it. It's fine for those things to exist. I would like something that makes me feel like I'm watching a kind of Trek that I like.
So, Jeff, I think that you're hitting on a point that a lot of people, especially on this platform, have legitimate gripes about.
No.
And they're all trying to say the same thing, is that it does not feel like there is Star Trek for me anymore.
Sure.
And what it seems to be getting back from the creative force behind it is, we don't care. This isn't for you anymore.
Right.
And you know what? Like, if things were done with a little bit more respect, they could accomplish whatever they're trying to do, because Kurtzman has said that Star Trek is a platform.
Right.
You want to use it as a platform, fine, but like give the OG Trek fans what they want at the same time. You can have it both ways. Trek, fucking Eugene Roddenberry used to do it. Like he was creative enough to do it subtly that like the people who were there for that reason were able to see it. Like be a little bit more subtle, Kurtzman. Like don't cut off your fucking hand to spite your body.
Right.
It's its nose to face, but whatever.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's the thing is that you've got a lot of people who are at this point, they're just done and they want to bitch about it the whole time. But the beginning, they had the same legitimate concern, is that it does not feel like this is the Star Trek for me anymore.
Sure.
And that was something that I saw another creator I was talking about. I'm not going to, you know who I'm talking about. I referenced him earlier. We're not going to talk about him by name. But that was something in the video of his that I watched that was the legitimate concern, was that people are saying it doesn't feel like Star Trek anymore. Everything evolves.
I can kind of strongman the other side though a little bit. So, I mean, and I feel the same way. Like I would like to have a more exploration and like deeper thought, less like pow zowie kind of thing. One counter to that somebody could say is, well, you already got how many? 5, 6 different shows that were like that, and up until now there hasn't been anything quite like this, so you have this whole back catalog to enjoy. That's true. That's totally true. Doesn't mean I don't still want it though.
Go watch Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, true.
I mean,
go watch any other J.J. Abrams, movie or whatever.
I mean, that was the whole point. Like and I remember in the like when we were still there were maybe 1 or 2 next gen movies out. I remember either reading something or having a conversation with somebody where it was said Star Trek is Submariner action at best.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't supposed to be action. It was supposed to be cerebral. It was supposed to be diplomatic and thought provoking. It was supposed to be using your head to get out of a situation, or sometimes fighting a rock monster and having sex with a green alien, whatever.
Right.
But it was about there was common sense, and it seems to be, to me, like there's a lot of that missing.
Sure. That's a good thing that I could give to Discovery. The action's pretty good.
The action is great. The action is really good. They do a very good job of trying to be as inclusive as they can for this day and age. And that's a double-edged sword. I have absolutely no problem with any kind of media trying to be inclusive, bring new people in. That's great. Everybody should try to find something that they can see in themselves. And when you only have a certain type of character on screen, obviously it's hard for other people to see themselves in that. So there's no problem there. What the creators of that show should think about, though, is being more subtle, like I talked about, because like when you literally have a line where a character is scalding another character about pronouns, you're going to date date your show.
Yeah.
You're going to date it. And like I don't give a crap about how people want to identify or what they want to be called. That's you're who you want to be, whatever. But you need to think about the fact that like we're at the best shows that are able to be rewatched are the ones that are timeless and not dated.
Right.
The ones that don't have cringe-inducing dialogue in them.
Yeah.
When you put stuff like that in there, you're going to be like, ooh, this was made like, what, 2018 to 2022?
It would be kind of like if you're watching Next Generation and they like overtly like make it a point to talk about like Bill Clinton's sex affairs or some shit.
Exactly.
Like Monica
yeah.
Lewinsky.
Right. Like, oh, the trial of the century was Monica Lewinsky. Or like,
in some
while
sort of,
the
like,
O.J. Simpson
clever
trial is
way.
going on, they try to like make it so that it's a bigger deal or something like that, which not
Yeah.
not trying to trivialize anything, but when you put an emphasis on things like that,
Crewman OJ. This Federation tribunal.
every ship now has to have an OJ hologram on it because of after when he was acquitted, and just some contrived BS like that. but no, being inclusive is a good thing. The ways that it's written, though, like that character, I can't remember what her name is. She was introduced in season 3, some little 15-year-old girl from the future who is a human that has a Trill symbiote in her. And
What?
yeah.
I haven't. I need to watch season 3. My god!
I think she is non-binary identifying, and her. So what happened was she was dating a Trill.
Yeah.
Who identified as a man but was possibly born as a woman. It's very vague, but it seems like it's an actress portraying a male part. I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody, like I said.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. We're not trying to offend anybody.
It's confusing though, and they don't do a very good job of trying to explain anything until you get to the point where the chief. He's not even the chief engineer. Paul Stamets, he's like the chief science officer on the ship, who is gay, mind you.
Yeah.
Misgenders them, and they make a point to chastise him about it.
And it's just over the top.
It's over the top, and not only that, but like he's pretty much like the one person on the ship that they can identify the most with. It's like their adopted father in the end.
Maybe the writers thought it wouldn't be quite so offensive if he was the one who. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know what?
But so the new human host of the symbiote had to take it because their boyfriend, was dying after he was just implanted with the host, and so she gets the host. They get the host in them, and at that point can access
all the memories. And
well, not only that, but then the boyfriend becomes like a living ghost that's able to like talk to her and interact with her for the rest of the series. And in the trailer for the upcoming season, the character's there too. So it continues on into the next coming season.
So okay, this brings me actually into something that I always hated about the Trill, is that there are 2 different types of Trill. There's the Trill in the Next Generation, and there's the Trill in DS9. Obviously, the one that's better developed is the one in DS9. But there are actual clear rules for this whole fucking thing, depending on which one you're talking
depending
about.
on which series you're watching, yeah.
Right.
Because
now,
Riker,
Riker also at one point had a Trill in him. In DS9, when a Trill symbiont bonds with the new host, they consider themselves the gender of that host. Now, if the host themselves is non-binary, like, okay, well, all right, then they're non-binary, no big deal, whatever. But, Jadzia is female, even though she has like 4 male past lifetimes, she still identifies as female because overwhelmingly the host personality is dominant. In Next Generation, the Trill symbiont takes over everything.
Well, and it might be that maybe because Riker was not actually Trill, maybe that's why the host was dominant when it took over Riker.
Oh no, it does it. The other
does
one.
it for the
yeah, absolutely.
I know I've seen the episode. It's just been years since.
I specifically went back and rewatched it. Just not that long ago, specifically for this purpose, and
so
the Trill themselves and the symbionts don't even have a gender because it doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
Whatever. I'm in what body now? Okay, that's how I use this gear. Okay, whatever. So I mean, they themselves could technically be non-binary, but they could call themselves whatever the fuck they want. So even if you're talking about the next gen Trill or the DS9 Trill, they then have to like completely rewrite the rules yet again for Trill to be in Discovery. And I mean, that's the right to do, but it does feel like intentionally complex and a bit ham-fisted.
Absolutely.
Because there's a way, like there are ways that you can talk about, discussions of gender. That's a great example of like, in Next Generation, it doesn't matter. In DS9, the thoughts don't necessarily overwhelm like the person before.
Had that whole situation been treated with a little bit more subtlety and a little bit more respect, it could have been done. And you know what? Like, I can sit here with the benefit of hindsight and say, you could have rewritten the finale of Picard to have
true
to have so seriously, because I've thought about this. Like, let's go back and fix the last episode of Picard. First of all, Soong's son that Brent Spiner plays, that's lore in a golem. Okay,
That'd be
bam.
great.
Lore and a golem, and the threat from the artificial intelligence has nothing to do with like alien or like snakes from another dimension. It's all about like lore creating these fucking all of this planet full of androids that's going to take over everything. Like that would have
That'd
been
be
easy.
great.
That would have been perfect, and they could have referenced the Next Generation episode from season 1 or 2, where the Doctor actually put his consciousness in Data's body, where like there was an established like actual canon lore for that they didn't mention in the show at all.
Right.
And that's, in my opinion, that's disrespectful to the Next Generation, because you guys like the whole point of all these new Trek shows is to get new viewers that don't know anything about Trek in. So clearly you guys are looking for new viewers. They're not going to know that Data's body got hijacked by some doctor who worked with Soong, who wanted to preserve his life. And what did he say at his own funeral? That thing that he repeated like 3 times.
To love him is to know him,
And
to know him was to love him. Yeah.
So go back and watch that episode, and then watch Picard, and then and then as far as Discovery goes, so with the Trill person, make all of that stuff happen like after the symbiote, like make it all dominant, like the whole, and
Have her struggle with it.
exactly
Have
And-
it be something that she's kind of working
like,
through and discovering
I
herself.
understand you want to make characters that are inclusive for everybody. That's great, but if you show like an actual legitimate Star Trek reason for this happening, you're not going to have a bunch of angry trolls online being like, "Brah brah brah, they put a trans person in Star Trek." Brah
Right.
brah brah.
Right.
Give it a scientific reason, or a reason written into the story, so that these people don't complain about it. It's that easy. It
I
really
mean,
is.
They'll still complain,
Like,
but they won't be able to
they
argue
won't have
it
as much to complain about.
Right.
And
right.
it's like it's not divisive that way. That's the biggest thing is that I don't know if the writers and the showrunners are creating divisive things on purpose. Sometimes it feels like they are, and sometimes you're like, are they just not aware?
It's hard to say, because I mean, it really does work to cause divisiveness. Absolutely does work, because if you piss off enough people who other people think are shitty, then those people who think that those people are shitty might then watch it just out of spite.
Yeah, and it creates
Like,
it creates a discussion, absolutely, and it gets people engaged in it, but it gets people engaged for the wrong reasons. Nobody's watching Star Trek for escapism, or because
Enjoy
for
the writing.
for the right reasons. They're watching it because they either want to. Well, okay, this is a generalization, but like there are people who are watching it to defend it, and then there are people who are watching it to shit on it.
That's true.
Not everybody. Obviously, there are people who like it. There are people who love the new stuff, and they're like, "This is the best that Star Trek's ever been," and that's great. I do have one thing to say for you, or to you though. Not Jeffrey's Tubes. God damn it. Turbo Lifts season 3 Discovery. Yeah, the inside of the Discovery is pretty much nothing but turbo lift.
You showed me.
There's a scene where they're like riding on the outside of a turbo lift, and you're like, what fucking ship are they in? Like, holy shit, they've been flying on the inside of this big gigantic. It looks like something out of Star Wars, which whatever, but
It's just a giant open cavern.
right. Think about a submarine, because that's what these ships are. They're giant submarines in space. Do you think that, like, with all of these people on Discovery, that they're just going to have all of this unused room so that the turbo lift can fly around in any direction that it wants to?
I cannot wait to start doing our audio commentary tracks going through Discovery and Picard.
It's going to be so good. So we're going to do commentary that you guys can watch along when you watch the episodes of Discovery and Picard, and I really hope Lower Decks.
Oh man,
I'm going to try to get Jeff to do some live reaction videos to Lower Decks, because holy God, that show.
I might be willing to do the latest episode just to see how it goes, because I'm kind of a masochist in that way, I suppose. I was watching some friends of mine, some fellow YouTubers, and they were just kind of catching up after a while. They hadn't talked in a bit, so they're live streaming. And, I'm chatting with them in the chat, and they're talking about comic books and having a good time. And then one of them, she brings up, have you seen Lower Decks? And he's like, oh, no. And she's like, it is just the best. I love it. It's so funny. And I went, I'm just going to stop watching. I'm not, because I don't know if I can keep myself from commenting.
Oh man, no, yeah, and in those situations, it's really best to just dip out because so let's I've inclusion and the visuals are my two favorite things about the new Trek. I think that they do some of the inclusion stuff really well. I think that Dr. Colbert and Paul Stamets are two characters that they have over time started to develop really well, and I find myself relating to Paul Stamets as a character on Discovery
Really?
more than any other character on the show.
That's interesting.
And you know what? Like, he's a gay character, whatever. Like, it's not.
I mean, but that's not like, it's not like he's the gay character. He's
No,
got a lot of depth.
No, he absolutely does, and that's one thing that that I appreciate is that character development in some cases is done really well. In some cases, I think that the bridge crew is super. With the exception of they've attempted to develop Kayla Dittmer, who's probably the only bridge officer besides Michael Burnham, and I don't know if Tilly's a bridge officer or not. But can you name any other bridge officers from Discovery?
I didn't even remember Bittmer.
Kayla Dittmer. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember her.
Yeah, she's the only other bridge character that I can remember her name. And that goes to show you something. So the video that I was watching about the other YouTuber who was basically trying to say that everybody who doesn't like the new Star Trek isn't giving it a chance and is a angry shill or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Was trying to say that by season 4 of The Next Generation, the characters, you knew them, you loved them, you related to them. You knew who the characters were, the bridge crew, stuff like that.
By the end of season 1, you did that,
right? Maybe season 2, depending on, because I don't remember being live at the time. I mean, I remember being alive, but I mean, I never watched The Next Generation live during season 1. I may have seen a couple episodes, but I also wasn't an adult with critical thinking skills at the time either.
Sure.
So, but at least by season 2 or 3, if you were watching that show on a regular basis, by season 2 or 3, you should have known who all of the bridge characters were.
Absolutely.
To Star Trek Discovery's ultimate detriment, like I said, I cannot remember any of the bridge crew's names besides Dittmer, and the only reason that you can remember Dittmer is because she was a carryover from, I believe it was the Shinzon was the name of the ship that Michelle Yeoh's character
I think that's what it was.
She was the helmsman on that ship, and due to Michael Burnham's actions, that's why she got that. She's got to wear an implant now because there was an explosion.
She was injured, yeah.
That was the one thing, dude. I forgot to get rocks. I was going to grab styrofoam rocks so that we could do an intro where we threw them up and the console was exploding because everybody knows that the consoles are full of rocks.
That's right. They are all full of rocks.
No.
So I agree with you. And the thing, though, that drives me nuts about it is there's only 3 people I remember their names on Discovery. There's Michael Burnham, Tilly, and Saru. I remember Saru, but I don't even think Saru's around anymore, is he?
So he's in the trailer for the new season, but at the end of season 3, he stepped down as being captain of the Discovery because they made him the captain in the very beginning of season 3.
You were telling me that, yeah.
And then because some and I can't remember what his species is called, Kelpian. Some Kelpian was born on a ship and near a dilithium planet and cried out and made all of the dilithium in the galaxy explode. So Saru decided that it was his responsibility to look after this kid or something. And he's a full grown adult with mental problems and developmental issues because he's lived in a freaking ship by himself his entire life.
Okay, hang on. I'm about to have a stroke with you explaining this right now.
It's so dumb. It's contrived. It's not dumb. It's contrived.
Okay. But yeah, so there's 3. I like Saru.
He's a good character.
He's a great character.
Doug Jones is a fantastic actor.
And I like Tilly, except I can't stand Tilly.
I will go.
I hate how she's written, but there are aspects of her character that I do find charming.
This is the power of math.
I know.
That phrase got said.
I know.
That phrase got said. You know what? I'm not going to ruin it for you. We're gonna. So after this, I've tried to talk to. We're just going to do it. I think we're going to do a live watching of the newest episode of Lower Decks.
Oh
so.
boy. And then there's Michael Burnham, which is the main character of the show, and I can't stand her.
Mary Sue Burnham.
I cannot stand her at all. And that's a huge problem that I have with the show. I mean, I can't care enough about the show because I can't stand her.
I think that God, what is her name? Beckett Mariner, the main character from Lower Decks. I think that her biggest influence in Starfleet as an officer was Michael Burnham.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me at all. But that's kind of part and parcel with the problem,
So-
like if you have a character that's really well written, like Saru, you like him. Michael Burnham is not well written, so I don't like her.
Dr. Colbert, who is Paul Stamets' partner.
Yeah.
I remember his name. Paul Stamets, obviously.
Yeah.
Tilly, Michael Burnham, and Saru and Kayla Dittmer. Those are the only officers on the Discovery that I can remember their names.
Right.
I want to say that one of the two men on the bridge, because there's two guys. I think that one of their names might be Brian.
I'm Brian.
Brian, I think that maybe that's one of their first names or last names. I don't know. I don't remember.
Brian,
Because
plot a course.
There are 0 episodes that have to do with. So besides, there's the one. I cannot remember what her name is. But she is the navigator.
The robot.
No,
lady.
no, not her. She's gone. She got ejected into space because she was corrupted by the evil AI or some shit like that. I don't even remember. She's
Oh
gone.
my
Doesn't matter.
God.
And the actress that played her, as a small piece of trivia for you, the robot girl was played by one actress during season 1. Same actress the whole time. And then about 2 or 3 episodes. How far are we in? How long have we been going?
I should probably wrap it up in about 5 minutes or
Okay.
so.
The about 2 or 3 episodes before Robot Girl, Ariam, I think her name was.
Arian?
Arian.
Whoa. The Space Nazis.
She was a
an
pretty
original
white.
series.
She was a pretty white robot.
Oh,
Not a pretty white robot. She was pretty white. The actress that played the robot, because obviously, it's a girl in fucking robot makeup. They changed her about 2 or 3 episodes before she got ejected into space. And then they started putting this other lieutenant who they've got a name for, like, on the bridge. And that the new lieutenant that they put on the bridge when Ariam got changed actresses was the actress that played her beforehand. So they were like, "Oh, we're going to kill your character off, but we'll make this other character so that you can, stay on the show."
maybe they really liked having her on there, but she hated the makeup.
It could be, or that like they liked having her, but they were going to kill that character off.
Yeah, absolutely.
They didn't want to.
It's a pretty clever way to do it.
They didn't want to. Fucking what's her name? The chief of security on the Enterprise D.
They didn't
want to Tasha Yar. They didn't want to
Tasha
Tasha Yar her.
yeah.
They knew, because they knew that they were going to write Tasha Yar out, and so they did it in the most respectful way. Anyway,
Boy.
So Lower Decks. Lower Decks is devoid of writing, and because it's an animated series in the vein of Rick and Morty animation, it doesn't have any striking visuals either.
No.
So it lacks pretty much the only thing that the new Trek had going for it, which was the high production value.
Yeah.
It does its best at inclusivity. I don't know. I'm not good at English. You guys will figure that out pretty soon. It tries with character development and like the relationships between the characters. That's kind of cool. There's a little bit of character development and stuff like that, but for the most part,
I think that's the only thing it has going for it is that there is actually a linear progression of some form of character development, whether that's good or bad, because I still don't like the characters.
Right,
But there
exactly.
is
The
something.
characters are annoying.
They
they're
change
unrealistic.
more Like in Discovery, if you change, it's because like you got fucked up or you're like PTSD, battle damaged or something,
Right.
or like I had this struggle and brutal. And at least in Lower Decks, it's because things are actually happening and they are having some sort of like character development. I don't really like the characters they are developing into or what the developers that they were developing from, but at least there is that.
Mariner's character. So I don't like Mariner as a character, but some of the character growth and development that she goes through and like the backstory that they give her, like I'm like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's not well executed, but it's interesting.
It's interesting. It's not entertaining.
No. So Jeff is convinced that Lower Decks should not win a Grammy, not win an Emmy or a Golden Globe.
Nobel Prize.
A Nobel Prize.
Yep. I'm amazed, and I think we really need to celebrate their accomplishments in finally finding a cure for laughter.
He hasn't laughed once. I've watched many episodes with him, and he hasn't. Like I said, the only time that I've ever laughed at that show was the ship porn thing, and like
Right.
other than that, every single joke that they write just doesn't hit at all, and you're just like, what?
One person I was watching who was talking about it, they're like, yeah, to really enjoy it, like you have to have seen a lot of Star Trek to get the references. I have seen all of Star Trek, all of it. I get all the references. And my face doesn't fucking move.
That
and
show should just be called Star Trek Reference.
It should, and then just
Star
get it
Trek
over
Easter
with.
egg.
Whatever. You don't even have to beat around the bush. It's Star Trek Reference. That's exactly what its purpose is. Like whatever. Fuck.
Remember the good Star Trek that's better than this?
Yeah.
Hey, joke here, funny laugh.
I would kind of be okay. Like there's some things that I think could be interesting in it. Like there's a whole thing with like Packlids. They bring the Packlids back to be like an antagonist and things.
Everything is one off. That's the biggest deal. Is that like it's all one off to be used as a gag, and nothing is done as like a. So okay,
But they don't do it. That's the thing, though. I'd be fine with them doing it because the Packlids are funny. The episode where the Packlids are in, like, we look for things to make us go. That shit's funny.
Absolutely.
It would be great in a fucking Star Trek comedy cartoon show. That would be awesome. But they didn't make
That's
the Packlids.
not what they did with the Packlids.
No.
They're like, you know who we should turn into an actual menacing army? Somebody who would actually pose a threat for our Starfleet here? The Packlids.
And they don't even talk like the Packlids. They don't even try and make them art style look like the Packlids.
And then the next
they look
episode,
like badly drawn orcs.
the next episode, they bring in Jonathan Frakes and they animate the Titan, which looks like I'm 50-50 on it. I'm like,
it's okay.
I don't like what they're doing with every time that they've got Jonathan Frakes' character on screen or his ship or anything, they're all wearing the older style uniforms.
Right.
And it's like, why? Just put them in, and it's not even.
Reference.
So I'm pretty sure. Like I'll have to go back and watch it again, but I'm pretty sure it's not even like. So the Sovereign class Next Generation movies where they've got like the blue and it's because there's the Deep Space Nine where it's all black and then color on the top.
Yeah.
And then there's all black and then blue with just the color trim.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that it's just the black with the color on the. So it's like even a generation before like what came before the uniforms that they're wearing right now. And it's really only to pander and reference. In my opinion,
So
in my most
exhausting.
humble of opinions.
So exhausting.
So yeah, Discovery's an okay show. Season 3 dropped off, and I don't really have high hopes for season 4. I'm really excited for season 2 of Picard. They're bringing.
I can't wait.
They're bringing both Whoopi Goldberg and John Delancey back.
Yeah.
So
I can't wait to have suicidal ideation.
oh,
again.
we're gonna be like
drunk,
drinking a lot of booze.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
watching some Picard. So look forward to that.
I wanted to reference one last thing though. You're mentioning Doctor Who before, and I think that's one way that Doctor Who we should give props to Doctor Who. Is that Doctor Who has the ability, because it has a format, to experiment. Because it's always different. It always
Sure.
changes. They can like mix things up. That's like, for better or worse, American Horror Story does the same thing too. I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility that you can do experimental concepts to see what works when it comes to Star Trek, The problem is, and this is really what I think the problem really truly is, it's all being directed by one fucking guy.
Yes.
And he keeps doing the same fucking thing.
Yes, and he's not good. Okay, listen, you guys. I really want to drive this point home for anybody who is into the new Star Trek. The man who is in charge of Star Trek right now wrote Transformers.
Yeah, the original. The movie. The
Transformers.
Michael Bay. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the man that used to get coffee for J.J. Abrams on the set of Star Trek. I'm pretty sure that I heard that.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, he might have had a bigger job than that, but like, yeah, Transformers, you guys, Transformers.
Yep.
So with that, I think that we're gonna call it a wrap. Wrap it
Call it
up, and probably
one more episode of the bag.
Yeah, there we go. So stay tuned for good things and a like, a comment, whatever you guys want to do. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how this internet shit works. So
Yeah. I'll take care of it.
So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out with us. And yeah, I would like to leave you guys with my favorite quote from the movie Star Trek Generations.
Yes, please.
Never let them do anything that takes you off of the bridge of that ship, because while you're there, you can make a difference.
Beautiful. See you next time, guys. Take care.